think we're live. I think we're live. Welcome back. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. How are you all doing? This is Breakfast with Dr. Kojo. We're gonna sit here this morning, discuss for a little bit, maybe 30 minutes or so. We're gonna talk about gaslighting relationships, and we're gonna get into it. I posted a video yesterday about it, and I have a couple of questions, so I decided that it'd be best to go ahead and talk about it. So let's get into it. But before we start, my name is Kojo. I'm checking in from almost sunny Los Angeles, California. So let me know where you all are checking in from, and let's get it. Morning, 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 morning. Michaela's here. Francesca's here. Kiera's here. Checking in. Mia, I appreciate you. We got love from Rachel. Said that's what she's going through right now. Hey, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Normally with gaslighting, a lot of times people don't realize that they're being gaslit and told they're out of the situation. But we're going to talk about it. Top of the morning, Josh. Top of the morning. We got love from Toronto. Quebec. Okay, so all my Canadians are up and awake. Missouri, Connecticut, Chicago area, Tampa, Florida. Shout out to my Tampa people. Toledo, Ohio. West Virginia checking in. Austin, Texas. We got people from South Dakota. Okay. Let's get it. Let's get it. That's exciting. Love from Ocala, Florida. That's a really nice area. Montreal, South Atlanta. And someone said, do you think people overuse the term gaslighting? Probably. People probably do overuse the term gaslighting. But let's go ahead and talk about what it is. All right. Got love from Charlotte House. All right. So when we talk about gaslighting, the simplest way for me to explain it is you're questioning your reality constantly to the point where you begin to believe a false narrative. That's the simplest way for me to describe it, right? So you're talking to somebody and you know that you went for a run this morning, like you did it. And after talking to that person, you're like, I'm not so sure. Did I really go for it? I don't think I ran this morning. But you took the dog out and you took a photo with the dog on Instagram. So you went out for a run this morning. But after talking to this person, it made you feel like, okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I didn't take the dog out for a run. Maybe that's an old picture. Maybe I didn't do that this morning. Maybe I slept in this morning. Maybe I went somewhere else this morning. I probably didn't do that, and then you start to cuss into your self-esteem. And with gaslighting, there's a couple of things that you see with gaslighting, and I wanted to, let you all be on the lookout for it. So with the video that what's I going to say? I don't think it's overused. I think narcissistic behavior is just more common nowadays. Well, Kimberly, let's talk about it. Is it more common, or are we more aware of it? I don't know. No right or wrong, right? But with gaslighting, you see a couple of things, right? You're gonna see, so for example, right, like when I'm pulling off the skits, it's funny because people are like, I didn't know you're toxic. I'm like, y'all, this is acting. This is acting. This is acting. This is me going into the mind of what I think a gaslighting scenario would look like. This is not me, but I think of a couple of things. I think of, the person who is doing the gaslighting, right? They're making the other person question their reality. So you're questioning your reality, and you're like, was I here? Was that Starbucks or was that at the gym? I don't know where I was at, right? You're questioning your reality. Number two, they're gonna minimize your feelings, right? So you'll say, oh, you talk about your boundaries. It kind of bothers me when you do so and so. Oh, that's not important. It's not that important. Yeah, I hear you, but it's not that important. Minimizing your feelings, right? You see a lot of times blatant disregard. Oh, yeah, I'm not worried about that right now. There's some type of selfish, there's a selfish nature to, like, when you gaslight somebody, right? It's all about you, not about the other person. You think of stereotypes. Stereotypes is huge, right? So if the situation that I had with the video that I posted yesterday, right? The guy gaslighting the girl, right? If you see that she's wearing something, or if you see if she looks good, right? You can go ahead and say, "Oh, I know you're talking to other guys," or you didn't go to the gym, you didn't go stay with your friends, like you went to go to the bars, you went to go hang out with your single friends, like, I can't trust you, like you always do this type of thing, and then you flip it around. It's almost like this is like a one-on-one on how to be toxic. What am I teaching all this morning? But you flip it around, and then when a person is like devastated and they're like, "Oh, am I not enough?" Then you look, "Oh well, I love you, right?" It's this whole game of mental gymnastics where you're never really sure where you are with that person, and that's what somebody said, that they're currently in this situation, which could be true. But a lot of times, like in my past experience with friends or with past patients, normally you don't realize that you're being gaslit until the situation's over, right? A lot of times people will be out of the situation, and then you'll wake up, right? And then you'll log on Instagram or something like that, and you watch a video, and you'll say, "Oh, this is me 2 months ago," right? But gaslighting comes in all kinds of different flavors. Um, I'm teaching I'm teaching how to be toxic class this morning, but it's more so to recognize these signs and symptoms, and also it can go both ways too. You can have women gaslighting the guy, right? Or even in same-sex relationships, woman, man, man. This is not like a sex thing. This is just a human behavior thing. Just want to let y'all know that. And let me get people's comments. Recovering from a relationship with narcissists is so tough. It's a long, hard road. I agree. I think, man, I need to do have all these ideas, but we need to talk about recovering from, dating a narcissist. Uh, but if I were getting out of a relationship with someone who I thought had narcissistic traits, the first thing that I would do is I would take time for myself, right? Like I would take the whole summer off or whatever. I would not hop back on Bumble and get right back to it. Just me personally, you know. And social media is a major fuel to gaslighting, makes the fire higher. I mean, you can make a case for this, Mia. You can make a case for it. How do you get yourself out of the mental condition that comes from it? Leah, you take a break. You take a break. You take a break. You gotta take a break. And you don't have to, but I always say that a lot of times what people do is sometimes you'll date the same person over and over and they'll have a different face, right? So Leah, you date, Johnny, then Victor, then Hector, then Rob, you know, and then these guys all came from different backgrounds. One was from Missouri, one's from Texas, one's from North Dakota, one's from South Georgia, but they all kind of were the same person, right? So if you and look, that's what we talk about. That's why on this channel we're going to talk a lot more about mental health, relationships. Like if you're dating with a lot of anxiety, it kind of opens you up to being like, walked all over, and you become like a good target for somebody who could gaslight you. So that's why sometimes people date the same person over and over, but they'll have a different face. Might be a different background, different nationality, or but it's the same person over and over sometimes. Um, if you tell your partner that you're sad about their cheating and they get mad at you and tell you that she doesn't have to reassure you, is that gaslighting? So I don't know if I would call that gaslighting. You told them that you were sad about their cheating and they get mad at you. It seems like they're being dismissive, right? And this scenario could be a part of a larger scenario where they are gaslighting you, right? Because you could take this scenario and you can make it a bigger thing, right? Where, let's say she gets you to the point where you no longer believe that she cheated. Like the whole mental gymnastics thing goes deep. And before you know it, you're apologizing to her. You're apologizing to her. Like, hey, it's my fault that you cheated, right? If you cheated, I'm not sure if you cheated, but maybe you cheated. But if you cheated, it's my fault, right? Anytime you have to like question yourself, it, it could be a good time to just take a step back. How do you recognize yourself doing something like gaslighting, or is that possible? It is possible, right? So people, I think we all have narcissistic traits and tendencies, right? But a lot of times, when confronted with like what you're doing wrong, a lot of people will be dismissive, and some people will say, "Oh wow, I didn't know I was doing this." You have people who are like narcissists who want to work on themselves, and they do make a little bit of progress, right? So once somebody is confronted about what they're doing wrong, it's up to them to see if they have any insight into that, and if they have any type of desire to get like a little bit better, right? I've been with my partner for 7 years now, and I'm just realizing what he does is gaslighting and narcissistic, and I question my own sanity. So I'm not Jessica. I don't know who you are, but when you start to question your own sanity, that's part of like a gaslighting scenario. And for people who have been in long-term relationships, like a lot of times, like when y'all see these videos online, I want y'all to know that if you see a video that I post online about gaslighting and you're like, OMG, this is me, it doesn't automatically mean that you cut things off with your person right then and there. Because sometimes each person may like unintentionally, gaslight the other person or do something that doesn't make the other person feel good, right? So it's more so about bringing awareness to it, and then, all right, it's like, how can we fix this? Sometimes you can talk to your partner, squash that. Sometimes you have to get a third party who's a mental health professional who can help you out. You know, God sends you the same person to you. I've heard that before. Yeah, interracial relationships, currently in one, and being white and whining gets thrown in my face. Ooh, oh wow, this is another angle. Is another angle to take. Wow, you know what? Like I have a lot of ideas and scenarios for how I'm gonna make videos today. I didn't even think about the yeah, Desiree. It could be that deep. Could be that deep. Could be. Let me see what people are saying. We gaslight our kids too is generational. Yeah. This is entirely possible. My big question: after you aren't in a toxic relationship anymore and you aren't being gaslighted by your current partner, how do you recover from the past trauma? Anytime I feel questioned by my current partner, is usually triggering, and I react defensively as if it's my ex. It's so hard to retrain my brain. Yeah, Cody, it is hard to retrain your brain, and that's why you have people like me, or people who work in the field, because after you know what's I don't know if this is I don't know, like, I mean, I think God made us all be beautiful, and I don't think God makes any mistakes, but there's something how do I say what I'm saying? There's something perverse about the fact, not that God makes mistakes, but there's something perverse or ironic. Ironic is a better word. Something ironic about the fact that if you've been in a toxic situation, you're gonna have an affinity for that type of like that becomes love to you. So that's why a lot of times I saw a TikTok post where a guy was speaking, and he said something along the lines of it's painful to be the first guy to treat a girl good. And then, in the comment section, guys and girls are going back and forth debate, but I knew exactly the angle that he was coming from, because if you're accustomed to a toxic situation and you run into a situation where your partner has no desire to be toxic, it feels like it doesn't even sit right with your soul, because like you crave the drama, you crave that type of like you kind of almost get a rush from that type of uncertainty, like, oh, are they gonna break up with me? Like, it takes a while to get out of that mindset. So that's why therapy is helpful. And also you have to want to work on yourself as well. So timing comes in as well. 18 years of this. Ooh, Mickey Figgy. I think my fiance is aware it feels intentional a lot of time. Right. And sometimes it can feel intentional. And this is the thing about social media. Like, I know these videos sometimes go viral, gets hundreds of thousands of views, but people could unintentionally do this too. That's why I always say, don't watch one video and be like, that's it. That's a sign that I was waiting for God to send me. I'm going to break up with so and so. More so use this as an opportunity to like just, enforce better boundaries, if that makes sense. Right. When we get to some of these. Hey, I'm happy you got to catch me live. You must be part of the morning audience. Um, yeah. So Desiree, I mean, look, just based off of this comment, like if because I tell people all the time, like don't do things that you don't want to do. I'm not saying that you should leave, but when you don't speak up for yourself in situations, it's almost like you're betraying yourself. And not that the relationship will or won't work, but sometimes it's as simple as speaking up for yourself. And then after that, like when people bring up problems, like you can't just sit there on the problem, like you brought up the problem, and then you just go back to your day. Like you bring up the problem, you work a little bit towards a solution, right? You could be with the same person and feel a million times better, but until like you approach that problem, like you might feel away. How do you manage toxicity in marriage where one party is borderline and one is bipolar? Ooh, Mickey Ficky, y'all hit me with some good questions this morning. Brianne, well, you would manage this situation the same way. Well, you do have to take into account the mental health condition there, because, but once again, it's awareness, right? Like if you like keep in mind y'all are on the same team. It's not like this is Steelers versus Ravens. Y'all don't hate each other, right? So Brienne, if one person is borderline, right, and the other person bipolar, right? So let's say your partner is bipolar, so you know what their depression or mania looks like. So you know how to help them out, right? So you tell them, hey, like I know if you're in bed till 2 p.m., like I know you're having a hard day, or if you're starting to get a little manic and you're not sleeping, I know what that looks like for you, but that's not an excuse to do X, Y, and Z, right? Just more so an explanation. Like I know you're struggling right now, so how can I help you out? And then position your partner to be the best version of themselves. Likewise, on the flip side, if they're bipolar and you're borderline, then figure out how to help out with understanding the other person when they're having mood swings, right? And if you're uh, a silver line I can take out of this is if you're bipolar, then you might know a little bit about mood swings yourself. Not the mood swings might not be as rapid as and someone who has borderline personality disorder, but you can kind of have empathy for how that person may be misunderstood. So try and extend them, some grace. But at the same time, boundaries are important. You can't tolerate disrespect from anybody. You don't have to raise your voice, right? You don't have to go slap somebody. I'm not gonna go there, but you don't have to you know, um, you don't have to get all demanding with it. Like you can say what you have to say, calm, and you don't have to repeat yourself, right? So people should be respected in every situation. But this is a fantastic question. This is a really good question, Brand. I like that question a lot. What's the best way to set boundaries in your new relationships, friendships, romantic, professional, after being gaslit? The best way. All right. So, oh, this is a good question, Mickey, Ficky. This is a good question right here. That's a good question. And to Pamela's point, so I go live at nighttime, 6 p.m. and on the West Coast, 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and then I just started going live in the daytime. I might start doing this more, and I'll probably pick 6:30 um, West Coast time to do the morning show, which is 9:30 in the East Coast in the U.S. I'm just thinking about that, but I haven't finalized that. But that's what I'm thinking, Pamela. But back to this question right here: the best way to set boundaries in your new relationships. That's a good question. Uh, so this is what I do, right? If I do this with everything. Literally, if I'm in a situation, or if somebody asks something of me, whether it's in a friendship, a romantic relationship, or in a professional relationship, like I always ask myself how I feel about something, and I ask myself, do I want to do this or do I not want to do this, right? And if I don't want to do something, I don't do things that I don't want to do, right? And if somebody tells me to do something, or if somebody talks to me in a way that makes me feel disrespected, I'll pause, and then mentally I'll be like, it's like in my head I'll be like, WTF? But then whatever I'll say, I'll be calm. But then that's my version of being triggered. I was triggered somehow. So when I'm triggered, the best piece of advice I can give to you is when you know that something bothers you, the sooner you can speak up, the better. right? Because if you go along with it for a long time, right, maybe you're just trying to like have friends that, like, maybe you have people pleasing tendencies. You just kind of go along with it. You're like, okay, yeah, I'm cool, I'm cool, I'm cool. At some point, you're gonna reach your breaking point where you're like, all right, I'm tired of this, and then your reaction might be like over the top. So the moment I realize I'm not okay with something, I speak out ASAP. And sometimes it can cost you business relationships and friendships or whatever. But I speak up fast, especially in a romantic relationship. Especially, I mean, in any relationship, you should be speaking up, but especially in a romantic relationship, right? Because with your friends, like you see them every now and then, at work, right? You go to work Monday through Friday. But with a romantic relationship, this is somebody that, assuming y'all not long distance, this is somebody that you're voluntarily choosing to bring into your personal space, and inner peace, and like this peace of mind is important. So if you're gonna bring somebody voluntarily into your life, you gotta put the boundaries up ASAP. ASAP. That's the only way. That's the only way. Um, can you touch on playing the victim? Amanda, when you say playing the victim, elaborate a little bit more. I need to filter you have. I mean, look, it's it takes work to get to this point. But even then, I'm not no superhuman where I enforce boundaries all the time. I might let things slip because maybe I wasn't paying attention, right? So like this is something you have to work on every single day, right? You don't just wake up and become like a master at enforcing boundaries. Is it possible to teach someone how to treat you after they've already been verbally abusive for a period of time? Oh, Crystal. Look, the morning audience, this is why I like going live twice a day whenever I can do it, because like I get different energy on both sides and I love it. Is it possible to teach someone how to treat you after they have been verbally abusive for a period of time? I think so. No, I'm not think so. I know so. But here's the unfortunate truth that I've seen. This is not evidence based, but like in personal experiences with past patients, with past friendships, and even in my own personal experiences. Sometimes the best way to teach somebody like what's up is to leave. And a lot of times people do get back together with that person, right? Or you might like go back to a job or whatever. But if you're not willing to leave, you're gonna be miserable. It's gonna be awful. Is this computer gonna die? If I'm not willing to charge this computer, it's gonna die on me. All right, so it's charging. But if you're not willing to leave, and a lot of times in relationships, uh, sometimes you have to leave, and then when the other person comes back, they're back on not only your terms but terms that work for everybody. Same thing with jobs, right? If you're working a job and then you're not being appreciated, sometimes you speak up. You're like, hey, we need more than just like gift cards. We need more than donuts. Like we need actual help. Like I'm overwhelmed. I'm swamped. And then the moment that you're ready to leave the job, they're like, oh, we want to give you like a 5% pay increase, or let's give you a bonus. Where was the bonus this whole time? I've been out here working my butt off, no bonus. The moment that I announced I want to leave, the special treatment comes in, right? So, what does that say? It says that the willingness to leave is what is the key there, right? You shouldn't be, and I think every good relationship, uh, you should be willing to leave. Not that you should leave, but you should be willing to leave, because it just shows that you're not gonna accept a certain type of treatment, right? And when I say relationship, I mean friendships, romantic, with your boss, whatever the case may be. If you're not willing to leave and the other person knows it, and look, my platform is for like positivity and all, like I'm all for it, but I'm not delusional. This world is not filled with people who want to all see you win, right? So if somebody knows that they can manipulate you, and make your head spin and you're easy target, they're probably coming for you. You know. Um, and Pamela, yes, I will post when I make the live about adult ADHD. That's coming up shortly. I'm happy I caught that. Let me see some of the recent comments. Hospitals, yeah. We can go on and on about hospitals and pizza parties. I don't want the pizza. I might be in a low carb diet. Don't give me pizza. I need something else. Like, give me the money or give me a day off or something like that. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, Miss, I have a question where I need advice. What's the best way to tell your? Uh, I don't know if this is real or what. Oh my gosh. Um, but I assume it's Facebook, so I don't think they'd be trolling me. Uh, you This depends on how. This is right up there with, do you tell your partner that they're picking up weight or whatever? Sometimes, what if I were in this situation, right, and my friend, and there was just a rancid smell coming from him. um I would like offer myself first. I'd be like, hey, I go to the gym a lot. Sometimes I go to the gym, I come back, I forget to hop right in the shower. I might start doing some things, and like might like kind of like make the place smell away or something like that. So sometimes, like after we go work out, let's go take a shower and then let's play PlayStation or whatever. I like to like say offer myself first, so that way it kind of softens the blow. But there's no like nice way to say it, right? Or if we're talking about, your partner's picking up weight, you can say, "Hey, I found this new workout program. I'm gonna go like 3 times a week. Like, you gonna go with me?" That's better than saying, "Hey, you put on 40 pounds during the pandemic. Like, can you, get yourself together?" Um, I used to walk on eggshells too. Once I learned to speak up and defend myself, he didn't pick on me much. I put my foot down and let him know I'm not his punching bag. Yeah, and sometimes the best way to do it is by leaving. And I know personal experiences. I've been there, right? I've been there where um, Vicky. I've been there where like I this is a long time ago. Oh my goodness, and I still remember the girl's name, and she went to Georgia Tech. Maybe that's a story for for another day. But this is like 2013. I don't know. All I remember is that I was trying to force it and it wasn't working. And then the next girl I talked to, like I was so nonchalant. I let things come to me. You can't force things, right? If somebody knows that you want something more than they want it, you're gonna be in a position where it's uneven, right? And anytime you're in a position where one person has so much more control over the other person, it's kind of uncomfortable. It really is uncomfortable. So that's something that we really have to talk about, because it puts the dynamic is just really shifted, right? You don't want it to be so lopsided. So that's something that you all should keep in mind. How do you assert yourself when you're being gaslit? It's almost like asking, how do you breathe when you're underwater? You really have to get yourself out of the situation first, and then enforce your boundaries. You can't really see like when you're being gaslit. It's a whole mental gymnastics thing. You don't know what's going on, So you get out of it and you figure out what you didn't like about it, and then you start to speak up about that. Right? Don't go anyone's near private part. Right, right. I agree. I agree. And after the shower smells, all right. If people smell after the shower, I, yeah, you got me. I don't know what to say. I mean, and I mean, are they getting everywhere? Like, are you getting all the crevices and like, are you really, are you really doing what you're supposed to be doing in the shower? You know. Vicky Figgy. Let me see. What are your thoughts on raising children in a healthy way when they have a toxic, narcissistic father? Every single day is a mind game. So this is very difficult because, you know, it's not impossible, but I don't think this is me personally. This might be a Kojo thing, but I'm not a fan of like. I know co-parenting is difficult, but I'm not a fan of like maybe punishing the other person by removing access to the kids. Like I hate to see that. But obviously there's levels to it. Like if somebody is being so negative or if there's abusive, like it at some point, like I can see why that would happen. But um this is gonna make you're gonna have to be a superstar with boundaries, and you really have to enforce it. And it can be difficult when only one person's working in a relationship. And I think Chris Rock, speaking of Chris Rock, he has a joke where he says relationships are only hard when one person's working on it. And I know that you're not with the father anymore, but to raise a child, you have to have some sort of like, working relationship, even if it's not like emotional, physical, sexual, whatever, to raise a kid. So it can be really difficult, and this is where professional help can be very beneficial, because you can't control what the other person will do, but you can just kind of like put your boundaries up a little bit better. That's a good question right there. That's a really good question right there. When it comes to gaslighting, how should Harry better react to false accusations that he truly believes he has PTSD? Okay. Good question right there. Uh, hmm. False accusations that he truly believes. So let's say he. So this is where I think this is where like my perspective comes in, right? Because you have to respect the fact that somebody has like PTSD, and if you can see things from their perspective, then you can meet them halfway, right? So if he's what's a good makeup scenario here? Like if like he's saying that maybe he was cheated on in the past before, and then maybe this has happened multiple times. Maybe he went away to war, and or maybe he was deployed. I don't know what the situation can be, but let's say he has some insecurity with that, right? That trauma isn't for that isn't your trauma, and that's not your weight to carry, right? But at the same time, you should be respectful of it, So if he's accusing you of talking to guys or whatever, then you can say, "Hey, I'm not talking to any guy. Like I'm with you, right?" But you reassure him. But then maybe there's like small things that you might be doing unintentionally that you could do to like you could not do to help out the situation, right? So if you come home, sometimes I have a bad habit of I'll take my phone, I'll just put it there, right? And your phone might land face down, right? And then he was like, "Oh, why's your phone face down?" And like, oh, like you thought nothing of it, So maybe you just leave the phone like that, right? It doesn't have to be that specific example, right? But as long as he knows that, hey, I'm doing what I can to like help reassure you, but it isn't your responsibility to carry somebody else's trauma, right? But it is helpful for you to understand where he's coming from if you can, and maybe meet each other halfway, right? But sometimes if somebody is so hell bent on believing that you did a certain thing, you may not be able to do anything to change your mind, right? But once again, that's why I always recommend professional. Let me see. I'm gaslighting constantly to my phone. We call names. Deal with bipolar depression. Get agitated. He's quick to lash out. How do I deal with this? So this is where I see a lot of comments where, of course, professional mental health services is the answer all the time, but sometimes you can, and I'm working on this right now in my book that I'm writing. Speaking of the book, I have a meeting tomorrow with the publishers, but sometimes you can just sit back, right, and then like recalibrate and figure out how did I get to this situation, right? And when you list out all the steps, along the way, you'll probably see that there was a lack of boundaries there, or maybe you weren't brave enough to speak up for yourself, or maybe you didn't know what was going on. Maybe you were in a depressive episode and you didn't really realize what was up until like after the fact, So I would say the first thing to do is to have like give yourself some space to like, to think about what happened, and also be kind to yourself. Like be the same way you show empathy to somebody else, do that to yourself as well, right? Because you can't control the other person, but you can only control you. So as you know more about what you need and what you require, you can speak up for yourself better, and then say, "Hey, I need this, this, and that." And then you can say, "Hey, when you're quick to lash out, that's not good for me because of X, Y, and Z." And hopefully, y'all can come to a resolution, and then you can keep it popping. Yeah. Let me see. And Let me see. He's not going to hurt me. But yeah, like it's important to keep these things in mind. Like you can't you can't control someone else's actions. That's a sad thing, right? And sometimes you you might make yourself more liable to being gaslit. Like when you really want something, and that person doesn't want that thing. Like let's say you really want a relationship with that person, and they could care less, right? Then you're not in a position of power because you can't walk away, right? You can't walk away if you feel like you're being disrespected and you have to speak up. You're not in a position to where you can say anything. The dynamics are off, So that's why, as best as possible, if you can make sure that everybody is like getting their needs met, or at least having the conversation. It definitely doesn't hurt to have the conversation, right? Oh, yeah, we definitely do a water break. Um, uh, Michelle, we definitely do a water break. I got my water right here. My water from Ralph's. I got it. Let me answer. Let me answer two more questions, and then we'll do the water break and do our thing. And get two more questions in there. Let me get two questions. Let me see what's interesting in here. My battle at the moment is I don't clean the house properly. I'm a sole earner for the house. I go to work full time, work gigs, and have two kids, and I make them feel like trash because I fell behind the laundry. Well, Mickey Ficky, you're doing a lot. It making my head spin just hearing what you do. And this is where sometimes, and I hate to default to the notion of, oh, he doesn't appreciate you or whatever. Like I'm not gonna get on here and give y'all that narrative. Like, sometimes you see relationship coaches, men and women, like, oh, bro, leave him, or nah, it's never been like that, right? It could, like, I always like to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but like you're not gonna blame me, right? So maybe like male mental health is real as well. And I'm not taking that for the guy because I'm a guy, but I'm just saying maybe he doesn't realize how much you're doing. But at some point, you have to put your foot down and say, "Hey, I'm doing sole earner of the house. I work full time. I work side gigs. I got to take care of the kids, and kids are picky. They need their food like cut up this way, and they have to get their clothes repaired. And then you fell behind the laundry, like." We can clearly see that you're going through a lot, right? But maybe on his end, he's in his own world where he's struggling with his own stuff, to where maybe he comes in the house and he just gets pissed, like, oh, you're behind the laundry, right? So he may not be doing this on purpose. So that's why I'm saying, like, we shouldn't rush to be like, all right, that person's toxic, get them out of here. But it's more so you do have to speak up and say, hey, look, buddy, this is what we got going on. I'm doing a lot of things, and like either you come in and help or something, but like we need to we need to address this, right? And then if you bring that up and then the other person's minimizing it, then we can have an issue because you brought up a concern, and instead of the other person being like, oh, well, you are going through a lot. If they're like, oh no, if they're dismissive, they don't care, then we could be in this type of toxic type of environment. But I would definitely like bring it up first, and then try and work it out, and not just be like, oh, you got to get him out of there, right? But and also look, sometimes people will tell you that, like, got break up with him, get him out of there because maybe they're single and they want to see you be single. Like there's so many layers of this type of thing. So, and it works both ways. It works both ways. Yeah, one more question. Let me see. What what does he do to help? It shouldn't be left all on you. My partner was like that, man. I blew up the house is 50-50. This goes into like parent, some people have, there's so many different ways to like set up a house: 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, 100, 0. I don't know. But whatever works for those two people is what works for them. All right. And y'all get y'all water ready. How do I know if I've learned to react after a 20-year relationship with a narcissist or becoming myself? currently going through a divorce, and he continues to gaslight me and make comments to kids that make me feel uncomfortable and terrible all the time. So once again, you can't control what other people do, but set your boundaries, protect your peace, and like if the kids are grown, like you should just let them know, hey, this is the situation. Sometimes it's better to be upfront with the kids and let them know, hey, like your father's not a bad person, but he's doing X, Y, and Z at this time, and I don't like it, and that's okay, right? We don't have to label people bad if they do one thing, right? Because I don't do that. But if somebody's doing something that's like kind of productive to my growth, like I'm not gonna label you a bad person. I'm just gonna dip. You're not gonna see me like I'm gonna be out of there ASAP. But it is different when you have kids with somebody. So I definitely do respect that. Daya Smith. Daya Smith. All right, y'all. You know what time it is? Time for the water break. I need somebody to drop the magic word in there so we can get this water and yeah. Yes. How do you know when to set boundaries with ADHD partner? It's time to, like, if you ask me this question, it's time to set those boundaries, right? And I have ADHD, and sometimes I'm all over the place, but it's not an excuse for anything. Like, like I would rather, like, I'd probably I'd probably leave the girl who didn't set boundaries. Like I need external accountability. Like I can't be with you, for myself. Hey, the magic word is in there. Cheers. Is this a trick to get my dog there? Come on, Zo. Come on, Zo. My dog. She being shot for the lives. Make you thicky. Cheers. Am I married? No, I'm not married. Maybe one day, but right now I am extremely happy living and thugging on my own. But all right, y'all, I gotta head out. I gotta get my day started. Gotta hit the gym. Meetings. All right. It's Tuesday. Day started. So I hope y'all have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me on this morning show. This is fun. This is super, super fun. Oh, Catherine, thank you for the shout of the shirt. But this is super fun. Yeah, I like this. I like waking up early so I can do this. I like getting my day started, on time. I know it's like a little later on the East Coast, but I do enjoy this. So this is pretty dope. So yeah, you all take care. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all tonight, 6 p.m. California time, 9 p.m. on the East Coast for the late night show. Peace.